Everybody writes about business success. In Search of Excellence, Good to Great, you name it. A lot of wonderful books have been sort of written under the premise, look at the guys that have succeeded, see what they've done, and do that. Right? Be like them. In some cases, be like Walgreens. Right? Be like them, and you'll increase your chances of success. And we looked at the flip side of that problem. As our editor, who was also the editor for Good to Great, said, we looked at Good to Gone. Right? The companies that tried to do the same things as the successful companies and failed. Why would they try the same strategy and failed? Right, so we looked at 25 years of failure data, big bankruptcies, large write-offs, discontinued operations, companies that basically had to sell themselves in distress, and said, is there any pattern here? What can we learn from failure? And the most surprising outcome of our research was that, by our estimation, a full 46% of those failures that we looked at were due to strategy design errors. Based on what the principals could have known or should have known at the time or did know at the time, their strategies were flawed in some fundamental way. Now, the conventional wisdom, right, in business books is that you can only do so much planning, or conventional wisdom in business. You can only do so much planning. And after that, it's execution, luck. You know, you have to just sort of go with it. What surprised us was how many of these failures we thought were lost on the drawing board before luck and execution even came into play. How many were lost on the drawing board before luck and execution came into play? It's not that execution doesn't matter, but sometimes it's sort of like the charge of the light brigade, right? You set yourself on a plan or a task that no matter how good you are, you're not going to succeed. We think Iridium was one of those things, right? Because while it was novel technology for its time, they knew that it would take them 8 to 10 years to launch that. They knew exactly what product they were going to come out with, right? But somehow they failed to foresee where the competing technology would be. And the engineers at Iridium delivered completely to spec. I mean, you could argue about whether or not that spec would have been good enough ever, right? But they could deliver it to spec. And that was a flame out almost immediately. So let me give you some examples from our research.